It's time for the sharpest minds in the beauty industry to come together from around the world to share their brilliance, knowledge, and know-how to help you grow personally and professionally. These are the industry disruptors, the trendsetters, the leaders that think differently and change the standards forever. This is Lessons with Legends with your host, Jason Everett.
We're doing incredibly well. It is Jason, and I'm really pumped about today's interview. In fact, this guy was intro to me back, a couple months ago, and somebody said, dude, you know who you need to meet? You need to meet Matt Beck. And dude, Matt has been nothing short of everything that was hyped. Matt Beck, if you don't know who he is he was the founder, creator of a website called freesaloneducation.com. If you've heard of that, do me a favor and say, heard it. On the chat. Do me a favor and say if you've heard it or not on the chat. But what I really love about Matt is not only have I had an opportunity to kind of to talk to him online, and we've chatted, and it's been a really good chat so far, but then I had a chance to go hang out with him. We were out at the Millennium Conference out in Arizona. We got to kick it a little bit, and dude, as good as he is at video, and by the way, he does incredible stuff on video. He has amazing content, and what I love is it not just is it sexy looking video, but it's really incredible. Like, he's willing to address the hard topics. He's willing to say things that other people aren't willing to say. And as good as he is at creating content, he's even better at addressing issues head on. So I'm just really excited to have him on. You should probably know that, Matt is a salon owner. He's been a stylist for years and years, and he practices everything he preaches. Really good dude. Like I said, I'm excited to bring him on. But before I bring on Matt, I just want to show you a little bit of some of the content that he creates. He's got an incredible YouTube channel that has just done some fantastic things, but instead of me talking about it, let's just show it to you, and then I'll bring in Matt. So Matt's hanging out in the wings, ready to come on in just a second, but let's intro Matt appropriately, shall we? Here we go. Let's check this out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to today's videos.
This is the Matt Beck Podcast.
Today, what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is my new favorite way to cut textured bangs.
Come on! It's Matt Beck. What's up, Matt?
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, I am doing so good, and it is awesome to see you. Great to connect with you and do the show, to be able to do Lessons with Legends with you, because you, my friend, are a legend. I don't know if you would say that because you're a humble dude, but I'm saying legend for you. Is that cool?
That's fine. Yeah, legend is, I got a long way to go before that happens. But I do want to say that, before we start this whole thing, that there's very few people that you meet in life that you just feel good, like, when you're around them. Yeah. And I think that you are one of those people. I was telling my wife that, when I got back from the Millennium thing, I was like, this guy is like a real guy, like you're an honest dude, and the way you teach and the things that you teach. So I'm super excited. I don't do a lot of like these interview things, but I do, because I'm just constantly creating stuff on my own, but I love what you're doing, and so I'm really excited to be a part of this and just to have this talk, for the next however long.
Yeah, so. Dude. Well, thank you so much for that. I remember we were chatting, and when we were out at Millennium, dude, like, I randomly was like, hey, I need to introduce you to somebody. Get in the car. Let's go there. And your wife's like, who are you getting in the car with? Where are you going?
Yeah. And that was a fun night.
Yeah, that was good. We rolled over to
usually I'm hiding. Yeah, usually I'm hiding in my hotel room, but yeah, you brought me out. We got in a car and we drove, and it was a good time.
Yeah, dude, drove over to Chris Barron's house, hung out with Chris, and it's awesome to be able to get good people together. And I just want to make sure you guys have met. And it's one of those things, man, where, dude, I appreciate everything you said, and I would say the same back to you 100 times over. It's just good when you meet people who are up to good things and are really, just like I said, as good of people as they are putting out content. And like, dude, I've been watching your stuff and just looking up to all the stuff that you're doing, and I'm like, man, your quality is so strong on the things that you do. I just, again, I want to make sure that everything that you do is showcased, and I think you just are good peeps. So thanks for being on and hanging out with me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime. I'm actually sharing the link for this right now.
Dude,
okay,
awesome. Cool. Anything you want to share, feel free. I won't stop you. So guys, if you are watching and you totally love Matt Beck, do me a favor and comment in the chat and say love Matt Beck. What we're going to be doing today is I want to really be talking with Matt about kind of what is going on in the salon industry. I mean, Matt, you've been on the front lines as far as for YouTube, and I know you do some stuff on Facebook and online, on Instagram, and there's a lot that you do to really let people know about what's changing the industry, how it's evolving, and all those things. But before we go deep and really ask a lot of those questions, because I just want to kind of like help people get to know you, because you know you do a lot of produced stuff, and I think there's a lot of people, and you do well. I shouldn't say this. Your podcast, dude. Your podcast is, even though it's super produced, it's very real, it's very raw, and you're often just kind of like unfiltered, you know, thoughts. I love that.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like an uncomfortable, like there's a reason why I'm very produced, right? Yeah. Like I like to make sure, like, so especially with the haircutting videos, because we're in a world of like doing live video, right? But like a haircut live isn't as, it's interesting to some people, but to the majority,
just an hour of you cutting hair, not cool. Yeah.
We don't have an hour to learn, you know, a haircut. So what I like to do is figure out a way to get every single detail of that haircut, because I also think that people create content nowadays and they leave out so much.
Yeah.
So, and they want you to buy the other piece or whatever it is. I really believe in making sure that every single detail is still in that video so that you can actually learn from it, because you know, that's the beauty of the internet, being able to just consume a full haircut in 10 minutes and really, really learn it, you know? So.
Yeah, well, dude, and I think you do a good job of taking something. I mean, it's like, it's not just a time-lapse haircut. I mean, you really do an amazing job of like breaking it down. And again, I get my hair cut. I don't cut hair. But I know as I watch these things, you know, that I just know that you're able to digest it. Because I think we do live in an impatient society. And it's funny because you live in this hyper-produced world. I live in like off-the-cuff live world where I do like live shows. And I know you do too, but like live shows, live events. And even this is live. I'm not going to, we're not going to go back and trim. Dude.
Yeah, I see you live up on the internet quite often.
Yeah, people are like, I get it, you're live, thank you. They're like, I get enough Jason all the time, but it's all good.
No, but that's the fun thing about that is like I have more of a produced style. Like you have kind of an off the cuff kind of live personality, and I think that that's where people need to figure out who they are. Totally. You know, like I for a long time, you know, and this is something my wife's telling me a lot, but like I study people, and then I kind of, like, unfortunately, like in a weird way, become that person for a little bit, like because, and then I have to stop watching them because I start to pick up things that they do, right? But I think it's just the way that I am. Like I really study every aspect of something that fascinates me, and then I figure out how to transfer into my life, right? Yeah. So what I've learned in that whole time, and like as I get older, is the whole like be yourself thing is it doesn't mean like I shouldn't act like Jason, you know, like because that's not me, but I can learn things from you and transfer into my own life. Totally. But you shouldn't mimic, you know, the other person.
Yeah, I think with anybody, like, you know, it's funny, dude, you mentioned that. Every time you say something, I'm like, that's why I like Matt. Like, it's in my mind, I go, dude, that's it. Because I used to do the same thing. Like, when I traveled, when I was like 17, I traveled abroad and went to England, right? And like did some stuff in Europe. And like, within the first day of being there, I was walking around going, right, yeah, right. You know, like, you kind of pick up and you try it on. It's like putting on somebody's jacket, you know, and being like, oh, this is okay. I like this, you know? And you kind of try it on and you decide what pieces you want to keep and what pieces you don't. So I feel you. And I do the same thing where I watch and I digest and then you turn it into your own, what makes you more authentic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think that that's where people need to learn. Like so for a long time, I was trying to create a vlog because like I thought, you know, I could showcase things throughout my day before I did a haircut or whatever. Like, but then I realized that people just wanted to see the haircut. Like, so I don't need to be a vlog. I'm not a vlogger, right? Yeah. Like I'm not that person. I'm not somebody that shows my whole life on the internet. I am a hair educator. So that's what I get down to in the videos now. Like they used to be long and drawn out. Yeah. So like, but I've created 700 and some videos on YouTube, you know? So like, after a while, you just start to kind of figure out what your style is. I don't think people know necessarily, and that's another thing. Like, as I'm getting older, I think I'm starting to slowly learn who I am and like what I know I'm good at and like what people like about what I do.
Totally.
And I think younger people, it's their time to kind of like experiment and figure out who they are or what works and what doesn't work. So, but I think a lot of people go on the internet and they try to become somebody else.
Yeah.
And people like seeing people for who they are. And that's definitely something that I'm learning, as I go forward.
Dude, well, for me, I do a lot of live, and I think part of that is you have to be authentic if you're live. Otherwise, people they'll just chew you up and spit you out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be the same. I can't have a fake live personality and then do it separately. And I think that's where, again, we kind of mentioned this when I was talking to you, but like, I meet a lot of people who are, let's call them hair celebrities, like there's hair celebrities out there, and you kind of have like the stage version of them or their public profile, and then you meet them and you're like, oh, you are not what I expected at all. And that's, again, why I really want to have you on the show is, dude, you're the same dude on the video that you are in person, that you are in those places. And I think that it can be rare, It can be rare.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's where, yes, I totally agree with you. It's totally rare. And that's where I say, like, I've seen you on live videos, but then when we got to meet in person at Millennium, it was like, oh, well, this dude's very similar to who he is on the internet. And that's, it is rare that you see that, because most people put out fake stuff on the internet trying to impress everyone. Right. And, and that's where, like, I used to do the same thing. Like, I would put out stuff that was just things that what it was? I used to make content thinking about all the people I looked up to. And then what I realized is I'm not making content for the people I look up to. Like, I'm not making content to impress the best hair cutters in the world. I'm making content to get the stylist who can't afford education, or a stylist that it lives too far away from a city where she can get she or he can get education. That's my audience. That's who I'm making content for. So I think that also holds a lot of people back. Like, they don't want to make videos or put out their pictures because they feel that people, let's say like me, or people that make content all the time, might judge what they do. But it's not about what I think of it, or the other people that are making content. Do it for yourself, and whoever your audience is, that's who you should be making this stuff for, and you'll have a better result.
Yeah, dude, well said. And I think, again, for those of you guys who don't know, if you haven't been at freesaloneducation.com, as the name implies, your stuff is free. I think that's the deal. And I think, it's one of those questions, Matt, you probably get this all the time. But dude, you could charge, I'm sure you could charge for your classes. And if you think about it, the traditional hair model, and you mentioned this in a video or a podcast lately, is like, the traditional model was like, pay a bunch of money, have somebody come into your salon and give training. And again, to your point, it would take an hour to do an hour haircut as a demo. So like, what in your mind, dude, why did you get into this and start doing, free salon education, as opposed to, like, you could have been traveling the country and doing this? I know I've heard a little bit of this story, but like, why not just travel and do education? Why did you say, I'm going to give it away free online and not make my money that way? Why did you decide to do that?
So it's a good question, and it's a question I know for a very long time I'm going to be answering this question, because I don't think anybody really understands why.
Yeah, people are scratching their heads. They're like, why would you give it away? Like, what's the deal? I charge,
Yeah, because people are constantly making videos, but their purpose is always to sell something, right? And so is mine. Like, this is where I think people get things wrong. I'm not putting out things for free because I don't want to make money. I'm building a business. My business is just backwards. It's backwards from what the industry was. The industry, and to me, it wasn't even backwards. But let's think about 14 years ago, I started working for Paul Mitchell, the hair company, right? And I wanted to be a platform artist. When I was in hair school, I went to my first hair show. I saw platform artists, and I was like, that's it. That's what I wanted. Like, hair school, didn't know what I was doing with my life, right? I thought it would be fun. I was making no money anywhere else. I didn't have good grades in school, so I didn't go to college, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And I worked in radio. We have that in common.
Yeah, both
and, radio. And I worked in radio, and I begged to $12,000 a year as a raise. Like, so.
Yeah, that was what you're aspiring to get to, right?
Yeah. And it was smart because you got to realize, like, radio, unless you're in talk radio or something, like, there are no radio jobs anymore. So, and it was kind of on its way out at that point. So, so fast forward, I decided, you know what, at 21, I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was working detailing cars. I had a guy that I worked with. I bleached my hair one day because I always had crazy hair.
Yeah.
I didn't do it myself, but I went into the hair salon and got it done.
Yeah.
But I was always changing up, and he's like, you know what, you really like getting your hair done. Like, maybe you should be a hairdresser. And I was like, you know what, I never thought about it. And he's like, my wife is a teacher at a hair school. Why don't you go talk to her? So that night, I went home. I thought about it a little bit. My younger brother, who's 3 years younger than me, I asked him if I could try to cut his hair. He said, sure.
Shut up. He let you do it. That's awesome.
Yeah, he did. My brother's had a mohawk his whole life, so he didn't care. But
yeah.
I cut his hair. I didn't screw it up. And then I called the school the next day, and I said, guys, do this. Because at that time, I was living in small town Illinois, 700 people. There weren't male hairdressers where I grew up.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, and guys can make good money. And I'm like, all right, sign me up. You know, So I went to hair school with no expectation, except for it was a job where I felt, because I had grown up kind of skateboarding and playing music, and I didn't really live the lifestyle where I would work behind a desk, right? That wasn't really my thing. So when I went to hair school, I was excited, but I didn't really know what the career was. 3 months into it, went to my first hair show, saw the Paul Mitchell stage, and I looked up there, and I just stayed there all day watching because I was fascinated by what they were saying. They were all talking about how much money they make. You know, they were doing cool hair. They looked cool. Like, everything about it was like, that's it. That's the job that I want.
That was the dream, is be that platform artist-y kind of thing.
Yeah, that's 21-year-old Matt. That's the dream.
Yeah.
So, and I'm thinking, you know, I'd never left my small town of 700 people. Like, we would go on family vacations, drive, you know, in our station wagon, like, you know, hours to get to where we were going. Like, we never went anywhere, like, you know, we never flew. I didn't fly until I flew out here. It was my first flight to Philadelphia for my first job, for my first hair job. So, like, this was a big thing, you know, and like a lot of people don't really realize it. But if you live in the Midwest, like, you know, like, most people don't leave where they grow up. Right. Like, it's just, you're just kind of, you do whatever the family does, and like, you just kind of keep going with it, right? Yeah. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I kind of just set my goals then. And as soon as I got out of school, well, I figured out how to work for Paul Mitchell. I knew I had to leave and move, so I moved 1,000 miles away from where I grew up, near Philadelphia, and started my first job. And you know, that's where, like, I really quickly realized that for the next 10 years I was an educator and a hairdresser, right? And I worked at a hair salon. I was traveling and teaching. And when you're an educator, like those of you guys out there that maybe have gone through this path, educators, so there's platform artists and there's educators, and then there's like hair. So you start as a hairdresser, you become an educator, then you maybe get to a platform artist, and then you get to like art director or creative director.
Something fancier, right? Yeah.
There's a ladder. And I went to educator, and I was teaching 75 classes a year. I was doing a lot of teaching, a lot of driving in my car, you know, getting paid, you know, little by little as I went and did each class. And I just, I always wanted that platform artist level. I wanted the hair show that I saw in hair school. I wanted to be that person. Yeah, and I wanted that, you know, there was DVDs out at that point with hair cutting and stuff. I wanted to be on one of those DVDs. Like, I wanted all of that, and I tried for 10 years to get that, and I didn't. I never got it. And I was bitter about it pretty much that whole time. Like, I literally was working, hoping for a phone call saying, Matt, you're going to be a platform artist now. And, like, it sounds crazy to me in my mind at this point in life, but then it was like a big deal because I had a kid at 25. I had a son, and you know, me and my wife were running our hair salon, and I wanted not only to be teaching, but I wanted to support my family, right? And it's hard as a hairdresser, like a lot of people know, but I have a passion for teaching. I love teaching, and that's what drives me. Standing behind a chair doesn't really drive me. I like it, but it doesn't drive me. And there's some days that I don't like it. But like, what drives me is being able to teach and just have that kind of, not like inspiring people. Like I love that that's a part of it, but for me, it's just fulfills me to be able to create something, you know, and I put it out there, and the reaction that comes from it is what fulfills me. So why make it free, right? I traveled for Paul Mitchell for 10 years.
Yeah.
Teaching free classes for Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell paid me, but I taught free classes.
Yeah, so it's free, but you were getting paid. There was a business support element to free.
Yes.
Yes.
So I was in salons every week teaching classes. My goal was to talk about whatever the popular product was at that time, and then do a haircut in the class, right? So I was getting my training, doing 75 classes a year for 10 years to do exactly what I do right now, which is I do free classes on the internet, basically. I make videos using a product from a company. I have multiple companies supporting what I do, which I love, because I never want it to be like, I'm using this product, it's the only product in the world, you know, like that's not what it's about, and product doesn't dictate content for me. So they send me a box of products, and I get to decide, this is a cool product, I can make a video around it that will be valuable to my audience.
Right, that showcases that product, but also is something valuable for people that either need to use that product or might want to check that out anyway, right?
Yes, because the biggest...
Yeah, so it's still brand backed. I mean, the whole idea is it's just like what you were doing on the road, you're just doing it instead of on the road, you're doing it in your studio, which is right there behind you.
And here's what I want everybody to know. When I decided to leave, so when I left Paul Mitchell, like it was 5 years ago, I left Paul Mitchell, I ended up... I got an award for leadership in the company. They recognized the fact, I wish we could roll that video. They recognized the fact that I, was teaching all the time. Yeah. And when I went up and accepted the award, I was like, this is it. You know, like this is what I've been waiting for. Yeah. And they gave me an iPad as my prize. Wow, fancy. Which was nice. Yeah. And I didn't have an iPad. I couldn't afford one at all. So, I went back home thinking, this is it. I got the award. They're definitely calling me now. And, 2-3 months later, I didn't get a call. Wow. Right? So I filmed my first YouTube video with that iPad. Wow. And that started the whole thing. And it's I like to say that because obviously it's like, haha, yeah, I filmed my first video with it, but it's really like I couldn't afford a camera. Like,
let's be clear about why you filmed it with that. Yeah, dude, I got you. I think, dude, Matt, I think the universe has this like interesting way, or God, universe, however you choose to look at it. But like, I think, I would say God, but like, God has a great sense of humor. Of like, had He made you a platform artist traveling around, you might not have ever put out any damn videos on YouTube.
I never would have.
Like that's the craziest thing to me. Is like had somebody pulled you out and said, Matt, you're really good on stage. Let's just roll with you. Instead, like, dude, you become one of the top educators online, period, because not getting recognized by them as an educator. Like that's insane.
I know. I think about it. I think about it a lot because I literally and it's something that again, as I get older, I'm starting to realize that like there's a reason why sometimes you don't get what you want.
Totally.
And a lot of people look at the instant gratification. Trust me, I'm like the most instant gratification person there is.
We can duke it out for that one. We'll duke it out for that later. But yeah.
This is the biggest flaw. Like I have a lot of flaws, but like that is like, if I think of something that I want, like I figure out how to get it. Like I need the gratification. It's the same reason I put out content, really. It's like I hit upload and it's like, bam, instant gratification. Like I get, thank yous and I get whatever. Like it really does feed like probably the person I am, like as I learn who I am, right?
That dopamine receptor kicks in high. I gotcha. Yeah.
Exactly. So look, the free part of everything, really, to sum it up, is I quickly started to realize I made my first video. I put it out on the internet, and in the first week, I reached 100 people. And when you reach 100 people on the internet, and you had been driving hours in your car to teach 4 people, that's where I realized that this is it. Like the internet is the next platform. If you want to be a platform artist in this industry now, the platform is Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It's not a stage at a hair show. So, you know, I started doing that 5 years ago, and thankfully I did, because I think if you try to do it now, it's a different world.
It is. It's totally different. And I watched your video on that the other day. I thought it was really good. You said, you know, if you're trying to be a platform artist, you should be aware of where the platform is. And the platform is social media right now. That's why it's paying off. I mean, you know, we were similar in that, you know, we started putting out videos on social media 8 and 9 years ago. And it's just like, you know, to the point, the game has changed a lot now. It takes a lot more. And I always tell people, look, just be the first to frickin' do something, and the world is a lot more forgiving. The longer you wait, the harder it is to be good at something, because there's a standard that's been established, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing I started to learn, or not really in this question, but like the other thing I started to learn about creating content.
By the way, I'm just loving having this chat with you. So I just want to say, guys, like if you're just loving understanding Matt a little bit more, do me a favor and say loving it in the chat. But yeah, dude, just keep going. You're doing great.
Okay, so the whole thing about content for me now is like I do think, so I used to think like, okay, well, if you join Instagram now, like, and start at 0, it's harder to blow it up, right? But then I realized that I'm currently growing my Instagram. Like, I think the other thing about me is that a lot of hairdressers out there got popular on one platform and didn't even look at the other ones.
Totally.
Because it becomes something where when you quickly get popular on something and you have to put effort into the one that didn't make you popular, like, then they just don't, people don't put in the effort. You know, like they put out a couple videos and they're like, oh, that didn't really do anything.
I'm out.
So then they stop, right? Yeah. So putting out content and getting people to actually watch it is hard work, because not only do you put out a piece of content, and when I say content, like let's say a haircutting video or a video for my customer in the salon, because this isn't always about me just putting out educational content. It could be educational content for your customer as well.
Right.
But like, you put it out there and nobody interacts with it, like, why don't you ask what they like about it? Like, I've started putting out videos on Facebook. I'm like, what part of this video do you like? What part do you not like? Like, figure out what your audience is really looking for, because the more you, like, figure out, like, and really dissect your content and figure out what people really want to listen to, the more you're going to be able to get engagement and you're going to be able to grow quicker. You could grow now. Like, I'm growing on Instagram like unbelievable right now. And it's because I'm posting content every 3 hours. I'm reposting content. But I've gotten 50,000 new followers in the last 8 weeks.
Dude,
on
that's
Instagram.
Nuts. Yeah, and I think how many people want to do that? I mean, I think what you said that was really, really clutch here, Matt, is that, like, you know, I heard this saying one time, is they said, when people say I have 100,000 fans or 50,000 fans, it's not they're a fan of you. The number is reflective of how much of a fan you are of them.
Yeah.
Right? And what I love about what you're saying is, like you said, no, I'm just figuring out what people want, and then I am becoming their number one fan. Like, what do you need? What do you want more of? What do you want? Like, how do you want me to deliver this? And then just giving them more of what they're asking for, and then it's like to me, that's the game of sales, right? Is ask them what they want and give it to them. Like, that's it. That's sales in a nutshell. And people overcomplicate it because they instead of selling things, they try and abuse people, which the definition of abuse is giving something to somebody they don't want and or need. So if you're out there and you're putting out content that's garbage and 5 people are looking at it, it literally says you're giving something to the marketplace they don't want and or need.
Right.
It's abusive.
And that goes back to me talking a lot on the front of a video. Like, people didn't really want it. Like, some people did, but the majority of people didn't. So what I did, instead of sitting back and being like, well, but I like me on the front of the video, and I chopped it off. Yeah. And now my videos get a ton more views because I let go of that part that I wanted to have on there because I enjoyed, like, I thought it was cool, you know, but like, maybe what I think is cool, everybody doesn't think is cool, you know?
I would agree. And I think that you did a good job of adapting. By the way, for those of you that are on with us live, if you have questions for Matt, speaking of listening to you guys, do me a favor, type your question in. If the question is relevant and we think it'll be good, we'll put it out there. And again, you know, type it in now, type it in later.
Judging.
Well, yeah, no judgment.
If we think your question is good, then we will answer it.
Yeah, if it's good. But I look at it from that standpoint of like, as long as it's on topic, that's how I leave it.
Yes,
if people
exactly.
want to know what color, what color car you drive, we might deviate. But all I'm saying is,
yes.
well, maybe that's what they want to know. Maybe I need to do a better job of listening. Oh, we both have white cars. There's one more problem that we both have.
It's simple.
That's the deal.
It's simple.
Yeah. So you guys,
you don't have to wash it as much.
I wish that was the case. I'm obsessive. Well, you're a detail guy, right? We both detail cars.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't wash my car enough, but when I do, it's a full blown.
I did it yesterday. I did the tire dressing yesterday. I feel you. So okay. So here's the question. Dude, you've talked about putting out these videos and creating it. I mean, I want to know, because a lot of salon owners ask, like, how often should I be putting out videos? And you had this brilliant answer at Millennium about, should salon owners be putting out videos? Should stylists be putting out videos? Not everybody's trying to be worldwide influential here, okay?
Right.
But what advice would you give to that salon owner who says, man, I see your stuff online. Should I be putting out hair tutorials and giving away color formulas and doing, what things should I be doing online? What do you tell people?
Okay, so there's a difference, right? And this is what we talked about at any seminar you see me at. The first thing I'm going to start with is how many people in the room want to be famous on the internet? And literally 2 people out of 100 raise their hand, because that's not most people's goal. Most people don't want to be out on the internet and be super popular, right? So, but they do want to make money in their business. Mm-hmm. So that's where everything becomes different. If I want to be famous on the internet, then I'm attacking the internet in a different way. I'm posting content every 3 hours. I'm trying really hard to get known to as many people as possible. If I'm trying to get my salon business popular on the internet, then I have a completely different focus, which is not using hashtags that are to get me in front of the world, right? Yeah. So the first thing is people hashtag like they're throwing up. It's
hashtag vomit. Yeah, I got it.
Yes, hashtag vomit. That's where I don't understand it. It looks desperate. Hashtags should be very specific with the content that you're creating, because when we talk about bringing the value to the person on the other side, if I hashtag best day ever on a hairstyle that I'm trying to get somebody to notice.
Right.
And somebody's going through best day ever, and then they've come across my picture. They're like,
"What is
this?" I'm looking for things it doesn't go together. You're not bringing value to that customer. So, and there's something else I really want to get into in a minute, but so that's the first thing. Then, so use local hashtags, because a hashtag to me is like a sticker. So you stick something on you.
I love that analogy, by the way, dude.
It defines you as a person, right? So that's where, I love Adidas jackets. I'm actually going to buy 16 more of these.
Same exact one. Adidas sponsorship yet? Because I feel like that needs to happen. If it's
getting
place.
There. This won't be blurred later.
Solid.
But so I love Adidas jackets. I love white shoes. Those are things that I really like, right? But so when I look up things on the internet, I'm not even looking them up. They're my Explorer feed. When you look in your Explorer feed on Instagram and it's organically giving you things, it's giving you the things that you look up often, right?
Yeah.
Or pictures that I'm attracted to. If I like this store, right? Or I like something on Amazon, everything you do on the internet is getting stuck to you.
Right.
And when you go to another platform, or you go onto Instagram and you're normally looking up things that have this hashtag, all of a sudden, organically, you're going to start seeing them, because Instagram is smart and they want you to see exactly the things you like. If they were showing you things that you didn't like, then you wouldn't want to use their platform, right? So they're
trying to tune into you. They're trying to tune into what your frequency is for all the things that you're after, what you've searched on Google, what you're going on eBay for, what you're on Amazon for, and give you more of what you want. Because again, it goes back to exactly what you said earlier. The more you can give your clients of what you want, the more they'll stay with you, right? Or your clients and customers. And so the internet does the same thing, just in a massive scale.
Yep. Yeah, and when you hashtag things like balayage on your hair salon photo, then you get people that like balayage and hairdressers, and you get start your Instagram, and you don't even need them on your Instagram, right? So a local salon Instagram that's trying to build their local business does not need to be popular all over the world, right? They should have followers in their town, so when they make a post, it specifically goes to the people that they want, their customers. So you need to like really analyze what you want out of your social media. If you're a local salon business, hashtag local things, hashtag the local paper, your county, your town, all of these things that bring local business to you. Yeah. Local businesses that are really popular, like we have a brewery in New Hope called Triumph Brewery. It's a popular place. If I hashtag Triumph Brewery in my photo, now people that are in searching or looking at posts from Triumph Brewery all of a sudden see a picture of hair that's actually from their town. That brings value to them, right? Because they might be like, oh, wow, check out this hairstyle, and this salon's actually local. You know, like, so you start being organically found because of the way that you're hashtagging, and you're not hashtagging into this big world of famous, like where people just want lots of likes and followers, right?
Totally.
So that's that. The second thing is I came across something on the internet that I found really fascinating this week, and it was somebody that I follow, I've known for actually quite a long time. I'm not going to say who it is, but they had a lot of followers on their social media. And I was like I do a lot of studying of like content, right? So I kind of know like what, especially in the hair world, like I probably know I would put myself against most people for what hair content works and what doesn't work, right? Because I do love studying.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, I'm like, I know this stuff doesn't work because I've done it myself. But somehow they've like almost 100,000 followers on Instagram, and every time they make a post, they're getting like thousands of likes, and I'm like, something's not right. So then I look at the video views, right? So then I'm like really like becoming.
Now you're trying to dissect it and try and figure out what's going on.
Because I want to know.
Yeah.
So I look at the video, and the video had like, let's say 1,200 views on the video, which seemed low for somebody that has that many people. But then I look at the likes on the video, and there's literally like 1,147 likes on the video. But 1,200 views, which is impossible.
Weird. Yeah.
So when you make content, that's not a thing. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Like not everybody that watches it likes it.
See, so, I don't think, dude, I mean, again, I'm trying to unpack this, but like, I don't think people get that you can game it. You know, I don't think
you can really game it. Yeah. And that's where, so then when you look at the people that like that, you look at the likes that they're getting, who the people are that are actually liking it. Like when you look at my likes on Instagram, you see humans.
Actual
all
people.
Over the place.
Yeah.
Actual people. When you see somebody that's got that kind of thing going on, you see people with no profile picture, you see like people from all over the world, like you just see all kinds of
random countries, random stuff, something's fishy, yeah.
So here's what I want to say to this whole thing, because a lot of people are always digging for more followers and more people. Like the reason that free salon education has become a business is because in your hair salon or whatever, you got to have the right people. It's a community, right? It's not about numbers. It's about like what happens when you interact with people. Like, are you bringing value to the people? Do they interact with your stuff? Because if I didn't have actual hairdressers, like if I bought all of our followers and put out ads and tried to just buy as many people as I could, then when I go to like promote the fact that I sell my scissor or my clips or whatever it is on a video, nobody buys anything because they're not actual hairdressers, right? So like my thing is you got to figure out who your audience is. If you're a local salon, then you need to make sure that you are focused on growing locally by one. Like the best thing about local business and a small business is that literally you can go and tag the local clothing store down the street, and they're going to be like, "What?" You know, like
excited.
That's nice. Yeah. Then they'll like think about it. Like you go tag, you know, American Salon or something like that.
Go tag Adidas or something, and you're probably not going to get any attention.
Yeah, nothing, right? So, like, think local. Like, think about interacting with people. We did a really cool makeover on a guy from the brewery here in New Hope. And, like, the coolest thing was, like, we started sharing it on our story. They started sharing it on their story. Like, it became very interactive with their community on their social media and ours. And, like, that to me is, like, what it's all about. It's not about the big number, especially locally. So you get 10 people to look at your hair post on the internet. It's so awesome. Like we used to 14 years ago when I first started doing hair, like I was door to door handing out business cards and people were like, "You're weird. Like you should leave." You know, like no one.
Like, why are you walking in here? Status. Yeah.
Yeah, like don't. They have signs on their door like, "Stay out of my business." Like I don't want to talk to you about your business. Right? Now we have such a great way to interact. Like, so the internet is such a great thing, I think.
Dude, what I love about all this stuff, Matt, is like, dude, the thing that kind of continues to be this overarching theme is like you're the big guy that is enamored by small. And what I mean by that is like you're grateful for the 10. You're grateful for the 100. You're grateful for that. You're grateful for the 2 comments or the 5. It's like the whole idea is when you create this stuff that you're creating it for that one person. I think so many people, like they talk about all the time, is like people create stuff for mass, and they never started small. And I think that idea of like being excited, like we talk about this all the time, is like we're numbers driven, so we're trying to grow and do our things and do all that stuff. But like when I go to a conference, like we were at Millennium, right? We're at the Millennium conference, and somebody comes up and goes, "Jason, like I listened to your advice on this, and it changed everything for me." And I'm like, okay, that one person that did that was worth that entire video that we shot. And it's like that one person, when you really like connect to a tangible human being that watches, digests it. I mean, I love that. And the fact that you're talking about, tying in your salon to that local brewery and all that stuff, and stop trying to be gigantic, because if your salon had 100,000 people walk through the door, you would probably freak out. But like if you had another 30 people walk through the door, it'd be amazing. Yeah,
I mean, people used to pay thousands of dollars to get 2 customers, like in the newspaper.
Totally. Yeah,
right?
Or in radio. That's what I was in radio, right? Yeah. It's like radio would be like, give me a couple people, I'll be happy for $1,000.
Yeah, so like the fact that now, like, or you put like the direct mailers thing in the mail, like to get a card in everybody's mailbox. Like salon owners did that stuff, and they paid thousands of dollars to do it. Yeah. And like now you can pay $5 and reach 10,000 people. I have 2,500 people in my town. Like, so my surrounding area is maybe 10,000 people. I can literally spend $10 and reach all of them with a post. The problem is people post the wrong stuff.
Yeah. So talk about that. And Mandy's got a question. Since we talked about listening, I'm gonna pop in and get Mandy's question. Is that cool? And then we'll go back to what kind of stuff do you boost, because I think that's super important. But I want to ask I want to get Mandy's question in. Mandy said, Matt, what gave you the idea to do free saloneducation.com? What do you think is the right amount of free to make sure people still become a paying customer eventually? Because I think she's been on for a lot of the time, so she's been in for a bit. She talked earlier when we were talking about that. But what do you think, Matt? How do you balance out free to then get them to pay if you're a salon owner? Because I know Mandy is.
So here's where I think you have to separate all of it, right? So I think you have free stuff. Like, so let's just take the model of free salon education. Every bit of education that I do on the internet is free. But with that being said, like there's always something kind of to it. Like we have an online store, so everything that I use in the video, I do sell, right? So there's that. And my biggest thing for Mandy, it's like hard because I don't know what she's trying to do for free. But for my business, like my thing was get the eyeballs, right? Create the community. The community to me right now, building that is so much more valuable than anything I want to sell right now, right? The only reason I sell stuff right now is because I have a building that I have to pay for, right? So like I have to make money, at least enough to pay for the building.
Good plan.
And so my staff can have a place to do hair, but that's about it. Like we're not overdoing it right now. We're just really focused in, and I say we, like me, it's me and my wife only that really run this, the online business. And then we have a hair salon with 5 staff. And, but we have a 4,000 square foot building. We have a full video studio. Like we're really dedicated.
It's half studio, half salon, right? Like it's how you split up in there.
So this, the hallway goes into a whole nother room, it's our hair salon, right? Nice. So the free part is all now because the world is going to really the race is who's going to have the biggest audience, I think. Because every hair company, every hair brand, basically, every distributor, every thing in my world, even like the big companies, American Salon, Modern Salon, all these big companies, right? They're media, and everybody's losing at it right now. Yeah. All of them, because they're not creating their own stuff. And when you don't create your own stuff, you can't create it enough. So, and you can only like repost people's stuff so much. You're not building a community when you do that. I mean, you can, but it's a little bit different model. For me, I'm building a community that, eventually, I don't know what it is, but I love.
You're getting the eyeballs. You're listening. You're paying attention. You're creating mass.
Yeah.
I mean, I think yeah.
And then when I come out with a scissor, like I came out with a scissor, and people bought it, and like
because you had the mass. I think that's
because
the deal, right?
Mass.
I think so many people want to be. So many people are like, well, I put out this thing. Why didn't I sell something? Or I put out a video. Why didn't 80 people walk into my salon? You got to decide and figure out what do people pay attention to, and I think that's it, right? It's like what gets people's attention first. Then where can you focus their attention? And then ultimately, once the attention is focused, then you can focus the dollars. And if you look at things like Facebook, YouTube, all these places, there's a reason why. Like I read the stat somewhere that said if we all just paid for Facebook, we could remove the ads. And it said something like that you'd only have to pay around $4 a month or $4 a year. It was something very small, right? $4 a month, $4 a year, and Facebook would have no ads. Right. But the reason why Facebook has however many billions of people on the planet is because it's free and they don't charge you $4.
Yeah. But they make a ton of money.
Facebook is one of the largest companies on earth because they didn't try and charge somebody $4 to be on the platform.
Yes. And people don't care. As long as you bring people value,
correct.
They don't care that there's an ad in it, right? Yeah. Like people aren't like, oh, Matt, I can't believe you talked about
How
Joico.
Dare you?
Yeah. Like, you look at you using Joico in the free video that I'm watching. Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
And Joico, like, and this is my other thing. Like, your hairdressers, to me, I've been a hairdresser for 14 years. I have been behind the chair making money. I know that the average hairdresser makes $25,000 a year. But for some reason, everybody thinks the business model is let's charge hairdressers $600 for a class, and there's no reason to. Like, the hair companies have money. And for me, it's like, I want to help hairdressers. Like, I really enjoy it. And like I said before, I know it's not like an ego thing, but it's like for me, it's like, I enjoy somebody saying like, your video really changed the way I cut a bob, or like that for me is fulfilling. And it fulfills like my ego, I guess you could say. Like, it's something that I really enjoy is having that, like, feeds me and makes me want to do more. So like, for me, like, the free part just makes sense. Like, you give out that part for free. And then there's another thing that you said in there, like, oh, I made this post and I didn't sell anything. Well, you can't make anything expecting to sell something. Like, the videos that have sold the most for me are ones that, like, I never would have thought in a million years that, like, making a video using this tool for like 3 seconds that it would have sold the way it did. Like, people buy based on feelings. And like, if your feeling is, I'm going to make a video talking about how great this clip is, and you should really buy this clip because it's the strongest clip you'll ever get, and like all this stuff, like it's got these really cool ridges on it. Like, no one cares, right? No one cares about all that. This clip, like, I use it in every video. I barely even talk about it. And, we sell a lot of them because I'm using it in the video, but mostly because I'm bringing value.
Yeah, it's just that idea of people go into that sales mode and think they need to be sold, but it's like the function sells the thing.
Yeah, you can't sell.
It's like, oh, Matt uses it all the time. Must be his favorite clip, so here's the deal.
Yeah, probably works. Like, anybody I watch on the internet, I'm like, what was that? Like, a lot of times I have to zoom in. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is that thing on the back of your desk right there? Like, why does he have that? And I wonder how well it works.
What is that? And why don't I have one? And how does it work? Yeah, you definitely need that.
How do I get an axe or whatever that thing is back there? Like, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's what people,
Yeah.
if I like something or I feel a good feeling about a person, like I want to figure out like what is that thing they're using? That's probably a good one. You know, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
it's a Fijian skull crusher, by the way, which is a reminder for me. Fijian skull crusher. I went to Fiji, and the chiefs used to take over villages by going in and killing the other chief. But it's a reminder that sometimes you got to crack some heads to get some stuff done. That's what it is for me. I have not actually cracked any heads with said Fijian skull crusher, but again, I guess it's the same thing. Like I'm looking around, I'm like, ooh, what's that prize wheel you got back there, and what's that other thing? Like, where do those chairs come from? Like to your point. If you really just follow what somebody does and think they do it well, you want to know more about them and dive deeper. And I think that's what the advantage social media gives us is the ability to kind of get to know people deeper, understand what they're about, which is why, again, I love the live pieces and all those other elements,
And that's the fun part. Like, so these chairs right here are from a company called Minerva, and they sponsor my content.
Yeah,
right?
speaking
so,
of,
like,
right, which Minerva's awesome. I was just hanging out with Megan a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, people... It's free, but it's not free. Like, it's free for you, but it's not free for them, right? Who is it? Is it Mark Bustos that says, like, I'm not...
Expensive or I'm free, but I'm never cheap, dude. Bustos!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, that's how you have to live. Because, like, a lot of people are making content and, like, not making any money. And we talked about this before. Like, they have these big followings. They don't know what to do with it. Like, you have to really, you just got to be smart about what you're doing. Like, people need to realize that having an audience is a very valuable thing, but it's also a thing that can go away tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I'm very grateful of the people that follow, but I don't take advantage of them because, they're the reason I get to do what I do every day.
Yeah.
Like, every day I come in here, I was creating a video earlier, like, I get to do what I love every single day because of the audience and the community that I have and the people that back what I do. So, like, I have different types of backers. I have companies that back me, but more importantly, I have hairdressers and I have their backing, which I love. Like, I do feel that, the reason they follow is because they do feel like they get something from it, and that makes me like happy about it.
Yeah, there's value. I mean, I think, dude, there's two guys that I think do this really well. You're one. There's another guy named Taki Moore that I just absolutely love how he positions stuff. He's not in the hair industry at all, but it's kind of it's like how do I say this? This is going to sound sort of like an insult, maybe. I don't know. Classiest salesperson ever, and I just mean that. I say salesperson because that can sometimes be taken as insult, but it's just that idea of like, if you really just love what I do, you want to see more. And it's like, he always talks about it like baking cookies. It's like, if you came over to my house and I said, hey, there's some cookies if you want to bake them, you probably wouldn't bake any cookies. But if I said I put some cookies out for you and they're ready for you, they're sitting on the counter, it'd almost be an insult not to eat the cookies. Yeah. And he said you can either sell somebody on why they didn't eat the cookies or just say, I baked them for you. And then they're just there. And I think it's that same idea. That's his model. But like, I think it's the same thing for you. It's just that idea of like, dude, I'm baking cookies for you. If you want the cookies, like, by the way, they're Toll House or whatever the thing is. Like, it's just who you are. It's how you operate, and it's classy. It's not uncomfortable and awkward. And like, so many people think that they've got to like go into this like that what movie am I thinking of? The Talladega Nights. Like, what do I do with my hands? Like, this is a bottle of shampoo. Like, it's just that they go into that like, what do you do phase, and they don't know how to make it work.
That's literally like the best movie ever. Yeah. But like the product placement at dinner is like my favorite thing ever. But listen,
so good.
You're totally right. So I'm just gonna leave it there. You're totally right.
Well, dude, you guys clearly Matt Beck and I could probably just jam for like 8 hours and just chat all the time. But we do have worky things we should probably do at some point. I think technically this counts as work. We did a lot of work today, which is good. But you guys, if you have any other questions, do me a favor, pop them in the chat. Matt, I've got one question for you I want to kind of end us off with, and then we'll wrap up the chat in just a minute. But dude, it's so good just chatting with you and hearing your perspective on the industry. I know that is why people love watching your content, because your perspective, is people. I always tell people that it's not about your information. It's about your interpretation of the information. And I think your interpretation of the information is gold. And I really have enjoyed your perspective. But dude, I have one question for you, because I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I'd like to know what your intention is, legends in my mind are people who leave a legacy, that are going to leave something behind as artifacts for people to find well after they're gone. And obviously, you and I are not going anywhere anytime soon. But what would you say, Matt, is the legacy you want to leave behind for the industry, that you want to really just kind of look back and say, man, I did this for the industry? What is that legacy? What do you really want to leave behind?
You know what it is? I don't think this is like, so I did read this question, and I knew you were going to ask this question, right?
Yeah, so you had at least an hour to think about it.
Which I did like, yeah. And normally I don't read them because, like, I don't want to think about it. I just want to give you whatever I have. But, so, here's my thing with this. It's a 100% honest answer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think about it in that way at this point in my life. Like, I hope that, you know, something that I do changes. Like, I'm just doing what I do. Like, I honestly don't have any expectation for what it's going to do later. You know, like, I'm definitely more of a in the moment person. You know, and the fact that I get to provide for my family currently, and keep growing this business and the community and everything, and, you know, that's it. Like, that's all I really care about. I'm honestly 100% not in it for the legacy part of it at this point. Like, I have a feeling, like, I know people are really loving the content that I'm creating, so, like, that makes me feel good, but I don't really think, like, it's not a legend thing, it's not a legacy thing. Like, I definitely just am happy that I get to do this, and that I get to, every single day, for the most part, create whatever I want, however I want, and that's all I've really ever wanted, is, like, the freedom to create and do. And, like, so I'm not looking to leave anything at this point. I'm looking to just keep doing exactly what I'm doing, and hopefully, you know, keep getting cool relationships like this, you know, and hopefully, like, 40 years from now, we're like, dude, this was really fun.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But
you know, dude, I think that's such a refresh. I mean, you watch a lot of people, and there are, you know, again, I don't think there's right or wrong. It's just what works and what doesn't. No. Clearly, what you're doing works. Otherwise, people wouldn't be paying attention. You know, you watch other people, and sometimes they have this, like, million-year plan. But you know what I really love about that, dude, for you is just it is you, like, just being you in the moment. And I think you're so tuned in with what's going on, like, that answer doesn't surprise. It surprised me a little because I was like, oh, maybe there's something, but it doesn't surprise me because it's who you are. 100% is, like, just listening and paying attention and just watching and just, like, letting it take its own life. Does that make sense? Like, go where it needs to go. I think is that, like, would you say you're in the driver's seat, or you kind of are, like, letting it drive you? Does that make sense? Like, are you steering?
So I definitely think I'm in the driver's seat, but what I've realized over the last, like, probably, like, 2 years, I would say, is that I used to, like, feel bad, like, that I didn't, like, my day to day is, like, kind of pure chaos. Like, me and Christina are probably the best at, Christina's my wife, like, getting things done last second. Like, we work the best when, like, there's just no time left on the clock. Like, we just got to do it, you know? And I used to feel bad about that stuff. Like, I used to feel bad, like, I didn't plan out my day better or, like, whatever. But, like, we wake up and we just do, like, all day, you know? And, like, our son, like, you saw, like, you know, he's playing Xbox here, and, like, we're just trying to get everything we can done in the amount of time that we have. And weeks feel like days to me, and, like, I just, you know, I think we're creating something awesome. I don't know where it's going. That's the most exciting part, I think. And every week I'm like, wow, like, you know, like, I have companies that reach out to me, and, like, you know, they're like, you know, we want to do some work, and you're like, this is awesome, you know, like, who would have thought
dream, man.
You know, 10 years ago, I was begging to be on a platform. You know, like, now I don't have to beg to be on a platform anymore. I get to choose who I want to work with, and, like, you know, I get to talk. I get to be in meetings with companies. Like, it's unbelievable. You know, like, it's a really cool thing. And if people out there want to do it, like, that's my thing. Like, don't wait to get organized. Like, if you're not, be who you are, and that's where like I for a long time was not who I am. My the reason me and my wife work so well together is because she's definitely a more grounded human being, and I'm just all over the place, and I'm definitely like I need to feed the ego thing a little bit, but my ego comes in like just like gratification of like creating, you know? So like I don't know, but that's for me. I think people just need to go out, and I would like to see more people just doing what they love, and like not here's one. Here's one.
Sneaking it in.
Biggest thing, so for me now, is that people, shoot, I lost it.
Oh, see, I messed it up. It'll come back. I have no doubt in my mind.
It will come back. It will come back.
I have no
It'll
doubt
come
in my
back.
mind.
All right, let's sum it up, and then it'll come back.
It's all good. Well, you guys, I mean, again, if you want to find out more information about Matt, dude, this has been super fun to hang out. And again, if you remember it, bring it back. Otherwise, we'll just be forced to do another interview is how it's going to have to work. But, dude, you know, I really appreciate what you do for the industry. I really appreciate the way in which you operate because you do some really cool stuff. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out Matt's stuff, I imagine more of you have seen Matt's stuff than seen my stuff. But, dude, check out his stuff. It's incredible. And we actually just launched some joint venture stuff together. He has a website called FSE On Demand, which is Free Salon Education On Demand.com, where there's tons of great content all organized and put together and ranked in there so you can go in and get some great stuff. Some of our content from the High Performance Salon Academy is on there, so you can go watch some of that. There's great people like Sam Via's on there, a dude named Matt Beck who's kind of awesome. Who else is on? Do you have any other people who are up on FSEOndemand.com? Who else is on there so far?
So we actually have quite a few. So we have some artists from Paul Mitchell, some artists from Joico, like you said, Sam Via. It's a couple of my friends came on, Tom Harris. Like I'm just getting more and more artists. That was kind of my thing with FSE On Demand was the YouTube channel, and like we were talking about before, the YouTube channel is more me with a little bit of my personality, but also you know, kind of like the day-to-day stuff a little bit, creating hair videos. And then FSE On Demand is just straight up hair videos. So like you hit play, there's no like talking at the beginning, no like crazy stuff. It's just hit play, learn a technique in about 10 minutes.
Cool.
And then you kind of move on. And we have an app, Android and iOS, so it's all available. Jason's content's going on there consistently, so we have a couple of the videos on there now. There'll be more coming up, and so it's pretty simple thing.
Super good stuff, Matt. And dude, I really appreciate you just hanging out and kicking it. If you guys got value out of this video with Matt, do me a favor and say value in the chat. I know a lot of people are going to see this over the coming weeks, months, who knows, and I just want to say thanks, Matt, for doing this. I really hope we get to do more things together because everything we've done so far has been super fun. And you guys, please do me a favor, weigh in. If you have questions for Matt, put them down there. And if we get enough questions, maybe I'll throw them up in another interview where we just do a Q&A. But, dude, thank you so much for being on today. I am so grateful to have you, Matt. And do anything you want to say you want to leave people with as we close, man?
No, I think I appreciate everybody. I hope to see you guys on our community stuff. Definitely check out FSEOndemand.com. And that's pretty much it.
Cool. Right on, Matt. Dude, thanks for being on, man.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, dude, if you enjoyed this and you want to get more great content like it, do me a favor and head over to us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us all over the place. Again, big shout out to Mr. Matt Beck himself for being on and for hanging out with us and for kicking it with us. This has been Lessons with Legends with myself, Mr. Matt Beck. Matt, again, dude, thank you. You've been incredible.